Say you're going camping and you want to make a makeshift shelter while you're out there, sort of a primitive campsite. One of the issues you're going to run into potentially is carrying too much stuff with you. Sometimes it's just a matter of space, others it's just the weight, especially when you're going to be walking in to wherever it is you're going to be setting up. One of the things that you can do to lighten your load is making some of your own tools, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a simple mallet using a saw and a small axe or hatchet. Just a quick note for when you're working in the woods on a tree like this is often these trees, while they can still be pretty sound, woodpeckers and bugs and who knows what has been eaten on the tree, and just age, it could have rotted. So making sure that you're not working on some tree that's going to break off up top and come down and fall on you is pretty important. So usually what I like to do when I'm working on something like this is to look up at it and just give it some shakes and see if you hear any kind of cracking or anything. Sometimes when you do that, the tree will go ahead and break off and fall, and it's better for it to happen then when you're looking than when you've got your head down and when you're cutting or either sawing with a chainsaw. So I'm going to go ahead and get started cutting this tree down using the small saw, and this particular tree is about 4 or 5 inches in diameter down here, which is about how big the head is going to be on my particular mallet. Depending on your use, yours may be smaller or larger. So let's get started. Once you got your tree cut down, you need to decide how long do you want your mallet to be total, including the head and the handle. I kind of like the feel of sort of a longer handle because you can always, choke up on it a little bit for more control, but you can always back down off the handle it gives you just more power. You can hit really hard with it if you need to, depending on what you're working on. So I'm going to mark mine out at about 14 or 16 inches. Now you're going to take your piece of wood and your saw and cut down about 1 inch or so into the piece of wood from about 5 inches from the end. What this is doing is this is establishing the size of the head itself. And you need to cut down, like I said, about 1 inch or so, but it has to go all the way around. Then what we're going to do is chip away the wood for the handle. One little trick that helps you keep your wood stable is if you take your hatchet or your axe and chop it down into the wood, leaving enough room on top of the stump to steady your piece of wood. And because these types of saws, they're cutting on the push, so you can cut and it's pushing it into your hatchet. And the other thing you can do is grasping it, you can hold on to the handle, and it just makes for sort of a steady workpiece. With the side that you established the head on facing down, set it back on the stump, or either on another stump or a hard surface of some sort, with the handle part sticking up. And then what you're going to do, being careful not to chop your hand off, is you're going to come in about how far you cut in on those last saw marks, and you're just going to break off the sides of this log down to that mark. You want to make sure that you start more towards the outside and work your way in. Otherwise, you might just split your handle right in half. One other little trick to help you kind of peel off the sides of that handle is, once you kind of get the axe going into the log, is to flip it over and let the piece of wood do the work for you. Just letting the back side of the axe land on the hard surface, and then it'll break this right off. And then you just keep working your way around the whole piece of wood. A simple mallet like this can be extremely handy for all different kinds of purposes, such as if you were using a froe and riving out pieces of wood, or driving in stakes for setting up a campsite. Or in some cases, people will use them to bang joints together for timber framing, like I mentioned before in the video. Another more common reason for using it would be something as simple as splitting up kindling. You just take a small piece of wood, we'll use one of the pieces from splitting out the handle, and you would just set the cutting edge on top of your piece of wood, and this keeps your fingers free of getting cut, which is the last thing you want to have happen when you're camping or out in some survival situation. But you would just put your cutting edge on your piece of kindling, stood up on a stump or something, and then just strike it with your mallet, the back of your axe, and you can split up kindling in no time. But that pretty much wraps up this video. Love to know what you think. Leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.